You're tuning in to the Bueno Power Hour podcast.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Bueno Power Hour podcast. I am your host, Arthur Bueno, and I'm actually trying to get home right now because they don't have any work for me today, unfortunately. So, this is kind of a trip. Oh, jeez, man. Trying to figure out how I'm getting out of here. Anyway, guys, Happy New Year. It is the very first episode of the year for me, and I know that I've been pretty absent as far as making, just making content and whatnot, and for good reasons. As for the fact that I've been kind of trying my best to figure out just loads of things, what I'm saying, like what I'm going to be doing for this year, 2020. It's a new decade and such, and it's all kind of it's all kind of frustrating to the fact that like I haven't really been making work consistently, and to be honest, it's been kind of therapeutic just leaving certain things alone. Actually, I can't lie to you on that. But it's giving me some time and some space to sort of rethink how I'm approaching everything, and that's kind of what has been going on with me. As I kind of reflected on the last few years of the decade, it was apparent that I just had quite a bit of issues trying to maintain, a consistency creatively and not to be burnt out. And of course, with that, it really kind of told me that I needed to sort of rethink my approach on everything. And here I am, sort of talking about that and, writing down what needs to be done and what I should be doing and working on for this year creatively. So I'm kind of in this point where I think I just need to allow myself time to do certain things properly, this podcast, photo projects that I've been neglecting for the last few years, and just not being dedicated to something new every year, and just working on finishing stuff up. So that's really the key, that's the key to where I'm headed as of right now. And I do believe that there was a time and place for me to kind of let these projects sort of stay still and let me, I guess, take in more inspiration rather than trying to output stuff, because that's what I've been doing, is outputting a lot of stuff that really has no feelings. And that's kind of the thing that I actually struggled with these last few years, because as a creative, you have to be consistent about. Well, you're told to be consistent about the things that you do, and without any kind of thought of possibly burning out and losing that creative spark that you had, from the jump. And that was really my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what I had issues with, is um, having to be um, uncreative and just, you know what I'm saying, just thinking that I needed to create stuff that just didn't really have any feeling into it because I needed to do that. That was solely what every creative needs to do, is be busy and just work on stuff all the time. And that happened to be the reason why I burnt out. Um, and that's really what it is. It's just me being burnt out about it. And you know, it's devastating. It's frustrating. It's all kinds of things. But it allowed me to kind of rethink how I'm going to be approaching a sum of work that I had gathered all this time. You know what I mean? So now that we are in the beginning of the 20s, here are some of the plans that I have and what I hope to accomplish this decade. And one of those things is to finish this neglected Lost Loves project that I've started since 2018. And last year, I wanted to edit it all and get it going and have it presented, the end of last year or sometime the middle of last year. And this, of course, didn't really happen because I was not motivated. I was starting to resent the project and resenting myself for putting myself in that situation. It also didn't help that I had started a 365 project from that, and it totally took up a lot of my time trying to focus on pictures that didn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? So I was stoked to know that this year I would start it off with no rush. That I would ease into these projects in a kinder, in a more gentler way, because most of the time when I work on projects, I jump right in and I'm ready. I'm ready to like dish out whatever I have in me and put all my heart and focus into that one thing. And it's all these like yearly projects that I do, and it's annoying because I haven't even spent time. I haven't even spent time working on the ongoing stuff that I, planned on, working on, that I had drawn out. And last year was a total mess of, seeing if I still wanted to be an artist. And fuck, of course I do. You know what I mean? Of course I do. But I have this thing where I'm programmed to be working on something every year. So for the last 8 years, I've had worked on something. I had worked on projects. Whether if it was just all digital, it was film, it was instant, it was both mediums, it was diptychs, it was 365s, what have you. There was always something I would look forward to within the year, or at least the start of the year. So, no, I am not doing that. I cannot afford to let these projects just sit there and rot. I can't do that. And so, this year and the years to come, I may be in the process of trying to gather all this body of work and actually process it the right way. And this is good for me because now I can actually reflect and look at all of that collection of history that I have not touched. And that's really where it comes down to, is collecting this history that I have made and actually sorting them out into things that could be potential projects or just, ideas that I could put in a scrapbook. So that's where I'm at right now in this year, is to finish Lost Loves and um, start a new project uh, by looking at all the work that I have collected. And I had titled it, just an idea, I call it In a Hurry to Going Nowhere. And it's essentially what that is me going nowhere, but in a rush to doing that. It's an outline of how I approached everything, because I've rushed so many things, and those results came out like shit. So what do you do? You know what I mean? What do you do with that? I can't even fathom as to why I decided to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I decided to, for the last 8 years, decided to like make these projects and have projects in between those projects. I just never really focused on one thing. And it's upsetting because that's essentially how I approach everything. I'm always busy with something, right? Not this time. So working with Lost Loves, I have finally started, tweaking out the levels of each track of the songs, making sure that the drums sound even, doing edits. And I actually did a little bit of editing of the tracks, more of like a playlist kind of thing. And, since its inception, how it was drawn out originally, it is totally different. Totally different. And I think I mentioned that a little while ago, that I had anticipated making this project where I crafted it, or tried to craft it at least, as to where I would make a song every month and create images during that period, and let that timeline be the tracks of the album. I wanted to make a full length, but it didn't become a full length because the images and the songs that I had crafted, most of those were just throwaways, unfortunately. It's frustrating because I wasted all that time thinking that this would be a good idea, and indeed it was not. It was not a good idea. I'm kind of mad at myself for that, but it also is a testament of what failures are considered when approaching projects like this. Because if I were to try it this way again, I would have the same results. So that is not going to be the case. It was devastating, seeing that none of these images, or most of these images and most of these songs, were not going to make it for this project that I had in mind. So I can't necessarily just, shelve it, because there is content there that could be used that still presents the concept that I was looking for. Though that it's arranged quite differently now, the idea and the presentation and the concept, what have you, just it still relays that same message. And I think that once this is all done, I can finally, start looking into publishing the work and go from there. And so I'm actually kind of excited, because now since I'm not rushing on doing any new projects and stuff, I didn't make any kind of like limitation of projects, or rather like make a goal for the year to work on stuff. It's nice to know that I'm actually able to focus on this one thing that I've neglected for a few years. And I can actually finish it. And now I am kind of excited to know that I can finish these songs and just close that chapter of my life like completely. You know what I mean? So it's it's kind of depressing, but it's also exciting that I get to do this now because I didn't I put myself in this position where I need to. The thought in my mind is I need to finish projects, and once I decided to do that and decided that that's going to be the thing for this year and ongoing, everything just all this weight and expectation within myself just like kind of lifted out of my shoulders, and I'm now ready to start working on what I need to work on. And is the idea from the jump. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm excited at the fact that I can now approach these projects properly. And I love it. You know what I mean? I love the fact that I can get this done and I can, I can just, relax and have fun. And that's another thing is that now, as I am in that editing phase of this body of work, I am not going to necessarily take a lot of pictures. I think that what I want to do is I want to actually get, I want to get myself, I want to start taking stuff in and outputting it on things that I currently have on hold. Um, I will be bringing my camera around, but I'm not going to be so aggressive about photographing like I was before. And again, being able to take these pictures and just to be able to have, some sense of some idea of to get this body work out there is really exciting. It's making this work actually look good, and seeing that I've held so many things, so many images. It's sobering to know that I can actually do that now. So the Lost Lips project is underway. It's hopefully going to be completed by either the end of this month or the end of next month. I'm not necessarily rushing the project because I noticed that with the amount of care I've been giving each individual song, it's starting to sound better and better. And I'm also not scared to make huge adjustments to these songs because now I'm kind of allowing myself the freedom to kind of approach it in such a way without any kind of interruptions. So having that said, I'm definitely excited to know that I can actually do this. I can actually get these songs done, and so I'm working on that. I'd finally put these negatives that I had in containers into sleeves, negative sleeves. So now they're like inside. I need to get a binder for them, but they're now kind of they're prepped up. They're ready to go. They're ready to be you know uh, worked on and just just the whole nine. You know what I mean? Like there's now kind of a thing that I'm going to be doing with these images. There's this excitement that they're ready to be looked at and scanned, and blase, blase, blase. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for the fact that these images are going to look good and they're going to be fun to look at. And, I can edit them. And I know I'm repeating myself, but just being able to be excited about, art is exciting within itself. And I think for the last few years of, you know, getting more input than output, I believe that this is the time to start, fleshing out some of this work. Um, so that's kind of where I'm coming from now. And I started off this year with a positive attitude, and I feel that my sort of approach on things have changed. Though that I'm not a negative person. Sometimes I have a nihilistic you know thoughts about things, but it would soon be regulated by, like, you can't be thinking like that. You have to start thinking a little bit. You have to start focusing on what the real issue is with things. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to approach people and talk to them in such a manner is, you get good results when you talk to people right. That's what matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, what matters is that if you can talk to people in such a way, you can get some interesting results just from that. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm kind of in that position where every person that approaches me, you know, I, in most instances, I give them a respect. I don't blurt out, stupid shit. Don't give them attitude and blase blase. You know what I'm saying? But in other cases, if someone's being like a complete ass, I'm just gonna be like, no, fuck you, kind of thing. Being confrontational properly, but confronting things in conversation and not being so. Though I'm not hot-headed, you confront things and just be a little more thoughtful of what you say and what you do. And making sure that the things that you do and say is when you address what you're trying to understand is and trying to explain to them as to why you don't understand certain things. That's really where I'm kind of like I'm working on, you know what I mean, and trying to learn how to like talk to people in a certain way. Um, and I obviously I don't front. I'm not a fake. I do things in most of the time in a genuine manner, but this is not there's no reason for me to be an asshole. That's just straight up. So yeah, I that's kind of where I'm coming from now, and it's nice. What I'm saying, it really is nice. I love the fact that I'm able to kind of just relax and have and actually enjoy things now. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to do when I start finishing up these projects. And that's also with these podcast episodes too. Though that I may not be consistent with most of these episodes, I do want to craft it in such a way where it's so much more better. You know what I'm saying? So I may be doing that. I may be actually working on, opening up a new YouTube channel or whatever, or actually having it dedicated to a different, just a channel, just this few, just this one thing. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I'm not so sure yet, but I'll figure it out in the days to come. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for listening to me rant on about my goals. I want to start off this year right, and I do want to be a little bit more positive about how I approach things, and not be so negative about stuff. Hopefully, I can actually start working on other ideas on this podcast. See if I can get more guests in and whatnot. But yeah, anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want episodes like this, hit that subscribe button. I don't necessarily have a schedule. I don't know if I'm going to have a schedule for this podcast this year, but whenever an episode comes up, I'll just spam it out in the socials. You know what I'm saying? Again, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys over the last few years supporting this podcast. So, hope to be doing this here pretty soon. Thank you for tuning into the Bueno Power Hour podcast, guys. Bye.